Well, hello, good evening, welcome. This is Ghana Tonight. We're live from a news about Desawe Kanda, also live on TV3 Ghana on Facebook and on DSTV channel 279. We're all across the world on 3news.com. I am Alfred Ocansey. Tonight, former Attorney General Godfrey Yeboah-Dame in troubled waters as private citizen drags him to the General Legal Council, alleging professional misconduct on his part in the trial of Atoforsen and Richard Japa. We have the details of the complainant and him speaking to it. Well, that's a viral video that puts to perspective some of the matters raised in a petition seeking the dissolution of the Justice Gabriel Pwaman Committee, inquiring into petitions seeking the Chief Justice's removal. Now, we shall match the petition against the less than a minute viral video, and you'll be the judge. Now then, we'll also have the private legal practitioner putting a word to it. Stay with us here on Ghana Tonight. Also, one which will be of concern to a lot of international students or people seeking to study, especially in Harvard University. Well, Harvard will beginning this year, academic year, not admit international students following the revocation of the Student and Exchange Visitor Program certification by the Trump administration. We'll look into the matters and possibly the implications it would have on prospective Ghanaian students. And we'll tell you why this should be of concern, at least because we're going to look at the population of Ghanaian students studying in the United States and drill it down to Harvard University as well. But as always, you're an integral part of the conversation. Let's hear from you. The hashtag we're using is Ghana Tonight on Facebook and on X. Let's get talking. Well, let's settle for Ghana Briefs.
Vice President Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman has returned to Ghana from London after receiving medical treatment. She was welcomed at the airport by President John Mahama, First Lady Laudina Mahama, senior government officials and family members. In her remark, she thanked Ghanaians for their prayers and expressed gratitude to her medical team and the Mahama family for their support and care.
I express gratitude to the medical staff too, for seeing the right thing, for making the right proposals. And to my boss, that day, I don't know where you appeared from, but he came and quickly set in motion what we needed to do. And I also want to thank all of you, your prayers, for your good wishes. I can't be thankful enough. I'm very grateful. But I need to isolate beyond family and friends your brother, Mr. Ibrahim. He stopped at nothing to ensure that I had what I needed.
A private citizen, Daniel Kwame Ofosuo-Appiah, who petitioned the General Legal Council alleging professional misconduct on the part of former Attorney General Godfrey Dame, says bureaucratic processes prevented him from bringing the action earlier. The complainant, citing audio recordings and WhatsApp messages, alleges that the former Attorney General tried to influence a witness during the trial of Atoforsen, violating legal ethics rules. He spoke on News 360.
It takes a lot of time for you to apply for it. It takes a lot of time for you to even pay for it. It takes a lot of time for even the registrar to certify it for you to take. So it is not like it is something that I just did. I woke up this morning and I just decided to submit. It is something that I've started over the few months ago. I was on it gradually. And I don't even think it matters whether I'm doing it now because the gentleman is defending one high-profile person.
University senior staff unions have called off their nationwide strike after the Finance Ministry released a long-awaited letter authorizing the implementation of negotiated agreements due since November 2024. The strike began over the government's 6-month delay in honoring the deal. Members are to resume work on Friday, May 23, 2025. George Ansong is the national chairman of the Senior Staff Association.
We are happy about the development, and for all this while, we have never experienced such a swift action from government when we embark on industrial action. So we are very happy that the government acted swiftly. And now I think we are satisfied with what the government has done. And for that matter, we also extend a goodwill to the government and are asking our members to resume work tomorrow.
The rainy season is here, and with it, the devastating effects of flooding in parts of Kumasi and Accra. Blocked drains, heavy silt build-up, and illegal construction on waterways have worsened the situation, leaving homes and streets submerged. But now, the Ashanti Regional Office of the National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, is stepping up efforts with urgent measures to mitigate the crisis.
We are going to dredge, take off the filth, the debris, so that the water can flow. You see, if you can look at this one, look what is here. It's too narrow. If on top of the narrowness, there's also silt, there's filth and there's debris, it means the space available for the water to pass has reduced further. That is what causes the flooding.
The Association of Ghana Industries, AGI, is advocating for utility tariff cut in the next review, citing the cedi's sustained appreciation against the US dollar. AGI Chief Executive Seth Chuma Kwabwa emphasized that a favorable forex environment should trigger a reduction in electricity and water tariffs.
When they are doing the automatic adjustment system, is the exchange rates system, and then the international oil price, energy mix, and all that. So we expect that the next review, for example, all things being equal, with the improvement we've seen in the city, it will reflect in the energy tariffs. So if the parameters are pointing to a positive end, then we expect that the energy tariff, for example, will reduce, unless we are doing a major adjustment.
There's more news on 3news.com. Make some time and visit 3news.com. This is Ghana Tonight. We're live on 3FM 92.7, also on TV3 Ghana on Facebook, and on DSTV channel 279. We're all across the world on 3news.com. And as always, proudly brought to you by Flamingo Paint, Simply Superior, and also Sasso Insecticide Spray and Coil. Coming up next on Ghana Tonight, former Attorney General Godfrey Yeboah-Dame in troubled waters as private citizen drags him to the General Legal Counsel alleging professional misconduct on his part in the trial of Atoforsen, the current finance minister, and Richard Jakpa. If you recall, this particular one on this the ambulance purchase deal that really never was, and as we saw the case play out in the most part of 2024. In fact, Dennis Pabewa-Dame is joining me. We'll have some perspective to this. It was just around this same time last year. It was in May last year that this whole Richard Jakpa, Godfrey Yeboah-Dame recording, that tape recording saga broke out. So it's almost a year on. A private citizen, Daniel Kwame Ofosu-Appiah, has formally petitioned the General Legal Counsel, accusing the former Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Godfrey Yeboah-Dame, of professional misconduct in relation to the criminal trial of Dr. Kesel Atoforsen and others. Dennis Pabewa-Dame is joining me right now. We'll have a quick detail into that particular development now with Dr. Kesel Atoforsen, Richard Jakpa, now Godfrey Yeboah-Dame being dragged to the General Legal Council. Dennis, what do we know with respect to the details of this petition before the GLC now?
Well, so the trial of Atu Forson and then Richard Jakwa may have ended, but it doesn't look like all the matters surrounding it have ended. And like you rightly indicated, last year by this time, it was huge in the news as to the trial and how it was being conducted by the then Attorney General, Godfrey Dame. It is matters arising from that trial that has now become another subject of an issue that has been put before the General Legal Council, the body that regulates the legal profession, and the same body that also oversees that lawyers conduct themselves professionally. So if there's an issue that you have with a lawyer, the body that will deal with that matter is the General Legal Council. So this private citizen has actually lodged a complaint before the General Legal Council, and the matters that are before the General Legal Council are matters that relate to that trial that you spoke about, especially in respect of how the Attorney General conducted himself in that case, and more so how he handled that audio recording that was out in the public. Yes, that particular incident.
Indeed.
That's the subject of the complaint here. So, except for the petition, the complaint that I'll show you is to the effect that this complainant indicates that this matter concerns a confirmed instance of professional misconduct by the former Attorney General and Minister for Justice, Mr. Godfrey Yeboah-Dame, in the matter of the Republic versus Dr. Atu Forson and another. He cites the case number. He continues to say that in that particular matter, a private audio recording capturing a conversation between Mr. Godfrey Yeboah-Dame and the third accused person being Mr. Richard Jakwa, that same was admitted in evidence. He continues to say that the contents of this particular recording revealed Mr. Dame attempting to influence the testimony of Mr. Jakwa in a manner that interferes with the judicial process, compromises prosecutorial impartiality, and undermines the constitutional right to fair trial under Article 19(2) of the 1992 Constitution. He says that the actions described amount to professional misconduct under provisions that he stated. So, in a sense, what he is saying is that what was contained in that audio recording, in his view, amounts to the former Attorney General trying to influence the testimony of Mr. Jakwa. And in that regard, it amounts to professional misconduct. Alfred, you recall that in the heat of the moment around this time, there was a lot of conversation about that, but not much was heard about it in respect of taking it on the professional level as to making an inquiry into whether or not there was professional misconduct.
Absolutely.
Even though parts of it came before the courts, and the court had reason to caution the parties in the case to conduct themselves in a way that would not even make these matters arise. But we are now at a point where this has been put before the General Legal Council, which will look into the matters to determine whether or not the allegations of professional misconduct, as has been alleged against the former Attorney General, really are matters that deserve to be looked at and what the outcome would be. So these are the specific professional rules that allegedly have been breached by virtue of this particular audio recording that the complainant talks about. And
all of this is contained in the complainant's petition?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
So he makes references to Rule 1C of LI 2423, and there he says that it was a failure to act with honesty, integrity, and professionalism. This failure, he says, on the part of the former Attorney General. He also makes reference to Rule 8.1 of the same LI 2423, that engaging in conduct involving deceit or misrepresentation. Again, this is made against the former Attorney General. He also makes reference to Rule 13.1A and B, and that this was a direct communication with a represented party on matters of representation. That is to say that at the time the Attorney General was in touch with Richard Jakwa, he had a lawyer who represented him. And in so doing, he ought to have engaged the lawyer, not the witness himself directly. He also makes reference to Rule 54, where he says that there was an attempt to improperly influence a witness or the outcome of the proceedings. That he says is a breach of the professional rules. He also cites Rule 61, which talks about conduct likely to discredit the legal profession Rule 76(2)(a), he says that this was a compromise of the administration of justice. And the last one, he says, is Rule 89(a) of LI 2423, which says that any breach of the above constitutes a professional misconduct for which the Attorney General must be punished. He did indicate, drawing the attention of the General Legal Counsel, specifically the Disciplinary Committee, to the fact that the available punishments that may arise in case they find that these allegations made are true is that a lawyer in such situation can be reprimanded, the lawyer can be suspended, and the lawyer can actually be disbarred. That is to say, that lawyer's name can be struck off the roll of lawyers.
I see, and we'll hear from the petitioner because he spoke to my colleague Aisha earlier today on News 360. We're going to play that back to you to put the matters in perspective. So all of this he is saying in that petition to the General Legal Counsel, indicating that Godfred Dame has breached all of these provisions in there. But it is left to the General Legal Counsel's verdict or determination of whether or not this petition has merit or otherwise, is it not?
Precisely so. So in the cabin days, the General Legal Counsel, specifically the Disciplinary Committee of the General Legal Counsel, will begin to look into these particular matters to see if there really is the need for them to proceed on this particular matter, or maybe if there's no, then we'll see how the case actually proceeds from here.
Let's hear from the petitioner now. Earlier, he spoke to us. Take a look.
Okay, this process of gathering legal documents and certify legal proceedings in court before you can be able to make a case out of it, it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time for you to apply for it. It takes a lot of time for you to even pay for it. It takes a lot of time for even the registrar to certify it for you to take. So it is not like it is something that I just did. I woke up this morning and I just decided to submit. It is something that I've started over the few months ago. I was on it gradually, and I don't even think it matters whether I'm doing it now because the gentleman is defending one high-profile person. I think the right thing must be done at any time and any moment, whether it was a high-profile person or not.
You hear Daniel Ofosu appear there, who was petitioned General Legal Counsel over what he terms the professional misconduct on the part of the former Attorney General, Godfred Dame. He ended this engagement with Aisha earlier today on the matter of timing, because this has come up as well, because as you indicated, it's been just a few days to a year ago that all of this played out. But Kweku Ansah-Asare, who is a former director of the Ghana School of Law, also has been speaking about this petition to the General Legal Counsel on Godfred Dame and why, in his view, this matter should be given some consideration. Take a look.
Hold before the Disciplinary Committee of the General Legal Counsel. I'm of the view that the law is no respecter of persons, and therefore Attorney General, who ought to have known better, arranged to obstruct justice by attempting to influence an accused person who officially was being prosecuted by the Attorney General himself. I mean, that's a very serious, professional misconduct. And I think that the complainant has done the right thing. I don't think that we've had a precedent so far, not that I'm aware of. But I think professionally, the highest that it could attract, would be, a specified number of being debarred, from practice. So maybe 5 years.
So that's Kweku Ansah-Asare there, and on the specific case about what possibly could be the punitive measure if the General Legal Counsel finds merit in this petition. But on the bit about the timing, I mean, the fact that it's been almost a year that all of this played out in the media. It took a chunk of our media discussion front because of, you know, how concerning that development was, and the portions of that engagement or that conversation between Richard Jakpa and Godfrey Dame captured on that recording. We played it a number of times, and then also, in fact, that became another subject of reference during this whole trial, is it not, in court?
Yes, indeed it was. It was. That's why I did mention that when this first came before the trial judge at the time, she did indicate that, I mean, it was a word of caution to the parties as to how they could conduct themselves without having to go that length so that to raise suspicions, especially so when the case was of high interest to the public. But you heard from the complainant a while ago as to why now he says that he had to take steps to procure some of the documents, and it was quite a process for him to do so. I mean, he's the complainant, and that's what he's saying. And I think the reason this time issue is even coming up is because there are others who have the belief that now that the former Attorney General is back to full private practice and he's taking up some high-profile cases, it perhaps could be the reason for which this complaint is now being made. But the complainant says, no, he was in the process of procuring documents from the court to make payments, part of which took a long time for him to do so.
I see.
It's
an important reference you make,
yes,
that Godfrey Dame was the lawyer for Vincent Assefuah in one of the injunction cases.
In fact, he still is a lawyer because there's a pending substantive matter in that.
And then yesterday we got to know that he is a lawyer for the Chief Justice, who has been suspended now,
Yes.
took on the interlocutory injunction that was filed yesterday.
Precisely so.
How does all of this play out? And this is the question I put to Kwekwansa Sari as well, whether all of this coming together and what his reasoning is, especially one about the development with Godfrey Dame and him being lawyer to get to Tukono in this latest interlocutory injunction and this petition against him at the General Legal Council. Take a look.
I have cautioned and suggested that she should take a back seat. Godfrey Dame should take a back seat. They should allow people who are less emotionally touched as far as this matter is concerned, so that, I mean, we will bring it to an end. It may either fail or it may succeed. By bringing this action, she has closed the door. Now, before, the door had been slammed, but the key was left hanging upstairs, so that one day she could go and take the key, unlock, and then enter. But what we have done now, even if the petition fails, I don't think that she can ever work with the executive again. It's a wrong move.
Yes,
now, as far as the injunction is concerned, I can predict that, you know, it's doomed to failure, because such an injunction maybe the Chief Justice may be required to address the court on specific points of law and fact on the basis of the papers she has filed. What is she going to allege? It is the same response, you know, to the president based on the petitions the president forwarded to her. Therefore, what he's trying to do is, yes, I have responded, but no, I will not allow you to go into that. The wrong signal to the nation is that she has something to hide. When, you know, to all intents and purposes, she may have a good case. But it's like she's drowning and she's trying to, you know, clutch onto any straw that may come her way. That's not how, you know, to litigate such, you know, sensational and sensitive, you know, matters of national importance and interest. I think that whoever advised her to do that, you know, has still advised her. I wouldn't advise her to do that. And, you know, it's a wrong move.
But it's well within her right to do what she has just done. I mean, you described it as a wrong move. She wants to pursue this matter in the court.
She's the chief protagonist, and therefore, you know, she must not be drawn into, you know, what people, you know, who are less knowledgeable about the law will do. She is the chief priest. or priestess of the judiciary. That's how come she's the Chief Justice, the head of the judiciary. She's trying to stop a constitutional process. That in itself, is a base to impeach her.
Quick one, sorry, former director of the Ghana School of Law there, also bringing his perspective to the issues at play right now. If you want the full complement of this petition we're talking about to the General Legal Counsel regarding Godfrey Yeboah-Dame, you can find it on 3news.com. Make some time and visit 3news.com. This is Ghana Tonight. Coming up next, let's stay a bit further with a matter that is related, but obviously from a different perspective as well. Because if you recall, that's coming up next. The viral video that's gone by a number of you have seen reference puts to perspective matters raised in a petition seeking the dissolution of the Justice Gabriel Poamang's committee inquiring into petitions seeking the Chief Justice's removal. Now, portions of it is what is shown on the screen, but we're going to show you the full complement of what has gone viral. Now, we should also then leave the judgment to you to make up your mind on what you're going to see. And Dennis Poberi-Wadam is joining me right now because that viral video is less than a minute, but there's some perspective to it which will bring a bit more meaning, another layer of understanding to what you're going to be seeing in that video. Dennis, what do we know?
Well, so there's a backstory to this particular video, and that's the reason for which it has gone viral with a lot of commentary on it. And that's because a private citizen actually petitioned the president to dissolve the committee that has been put together to inquire into the petitions that are seeking the removal of the Chief Justice. Now, in that petition, Alfred Kumi, that's his name. I mean, he was a...
That's Alfred Kumi?
Alfred Kumi.
Yeah.
Yes, your namesake, Alfred Kumi.
No, but yeah.
He actually contested to be the parliamentary candidate for the MPP in Adenta on 2 occasions, 2020 and 2024.
Right.
So in his petition, he alleged that 4 persons held a meeting at a restaurant. And that those 4 persons who held the meeting were people who have something to do with the ongoing proceedings involving the Chief Justice or seeking the removal of the Chief Justice. These are the persons that are alleged to have held that meeting. He says Justice Gabriel Poamang, who is the chair of that committee, Justice S.K. Adibu Esedu, who is a member of that committee, Justice Yoni Kolendi, he is not on that committee, but later will understand the role he's alleged to have played, for which reason he was asking for the dissolution of the committee. And then there's a private lawyer in there, the learned Tadiosori. He's the 4th person. Now, the allegation is that these 4 persons met and they had a discussion that had to do with the ongoing processes seeking the removal of the Chief Justice. He says that to the extent that this meeting was held and the discussions that were had, which according to him caught the attention of some members of the public, it tainted the processes, for which reason the committee has to be dissolved. Now let's move further and look at specifics, because he actually indicates that on 15th May 2025, he gives specific times between 7:30 and 8:30 p.m. Then he lists the names of the justices, Justice Gabriel Poamang and Justice Kwame Edibu Esedu, together with Justice Yoni Kolendi of the Supreme Court of Ghana, were seen having dinner with counsel for one of the petitioners before the committee, Mr. Tadiosori. Now, mind you, Mr. Tadiosori is actually counsel for one of the petitioners.
Right. And that's what I was just coming to, so that all the persons captured in the first slide you showed are persons of interest, essentially, in this ongoing petition hearing, the committee, and then the counsel for the petitioners, all of them.
Precisely so, directly and indirectly.
Directly and indirectly.
I say so because in the case of Yoni Kolendi, that may be a bit distant from the work of the committee, because he's not a member of the committee.
But he's a member of one of the justices that had a number of the petitions, is it not?
One of the injunction applications, he was part of the reconstituted panel that in a 3-2 decision dismissed that injunction application. So that is not directly connected to the work of the committee. But you'd see that Justice Poamang and then Justice Esedu are people who are on the committee, and then counsel Tadiosori represents the petitioner, Daniel Ofori.
Right.
So, now this petitioner says that this meeting of the 4 people...
You said the meeting is a strange one.
Yes, he describes a strange meeting. That who are keenly interested in and have played, and indeed continue to play a critical role, or critical roles, initiated in the process for the removal of the Chief Justice, excited the curiosity of some persons in the restaurant. Indeed, they were overheard discussing matters relating to the petition. He was categorical about that.
That's according to this petitioner.
That's his claim.
That they were heard. Okay.
He goes on to say that the record of the presence of the 4, so he repeats that indeed these 4 people had a meeting, can easily be verified and confirmed. And that is why this video is of interest. Because at the time he was making this claim, as contained in the petition, there was no such video available.
True.
But he says that that could easily be confirmed and verified. Now he says that the development, as he has described, is of grave worry, as proceedings for the removal of the Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana is very solemn and serious process and should not lend itself to manipulation by any person or authority. This meeting, he reiterates, clearly has destroyed the integrity of the process and reduces public confidence in the process so far. And that is the reason for which he wants the president to dissolve the committee. He makes specific allegations against specific people. Now, allegations or claims against Justice Gabriel Palmer is that he gave judgment in the Supreme Court in favor of one of the petitioners, Daniel Ofori, whose counsel in the matter is Tade Osori. You recall we touched on something like this yesterday.
Indeed.
The other claim is that Justice Palmer is known to be interested in becoming the Chief Justice following the election of John Dramani Mahama. He doesn't say more or where that is coming from.
But then it's flip back a bit. That first point, this is captured in the Chief Justice's interlocutory injunction application.
The writ of summons, yes.
Okay, great. I just want to...
So that's why I was referring to that. It's familiar.
Indeed.
So he proceeds to make claims against Yoni Kolendi. And that Justice Yoni Kolendi is widely known to have been a close rival to Justice Gertrude Tukono for the position of the Chief Justice when same became vacant after Justice Enim Yeboah. And for that reason, he even goes as far as saying it is the reason for which he voted for the dismissal of the injunction against the process. And that's, he is known to be interested in being appointed a Chief Justice. And now, finally, against Justice Samuel Esedu, that he is also known on record to have been one of those who actively lobbied to be the Chief Justice after the exit of Enim Yeboah. He would go on to say that he was disappointed. And that he thus has a personal interest in the removal of the Chief Justice. These are his claims. And he says that to the extent that he claims that these people met and they discussed the matters that are before the committee, he does not think that the process still has the sanctity that it deserves to have, for which reason it should be disbanded or dissolved.
I see.
Now, let's take a look at the video that has been in circulation so that we can see if at least, placing it side by side, if we can see some of these things that has been alleged in this petition.
And you're going to help us identify these 4 people?
As far as possible.
As far as possible, that you put on the screen earlier. These 4 persons directly or indirectly connected to how these petitions against the Chief Justice seeking her removal have played over the period. But this is the less than 1 minute CCTV footage in the said restaurant. These 3 people who walk in?
Right. So these are people who look like judges. Now in there, you'd find, if you look closely, you'll see one person who look like Justice Yoni Kolendi in there. The other one in black. So there are 2 men wearing black and white. The next person to him, you would see, looks like Justice Samuel Esedu. The other person whose shirt is different, he looks like Justice Anthony Kofi. So you'd see that clearly they entered a restaurant. So let's see what happens next.
So, but let's establish that this meeting has not been disputed as yet, because Tadio Sorry posted about this publicly, indicating that the twist to the meeting was a monstrous lie.
Yes.
So
to
something
the meeting,
of the sort took place.
So let's put it into context. So he uses the word "no such meeting," and that can be understood to mean that the meeting as described by the petitioner. And the petitioner talks about a meeting that was held by 4 persons discussing certain matters. So he does not dispute a meeting, he disputes such meeting.
Right.
At least that's how I understand it.
I think it's a fair
So
point.
let's go back to the video so that we'll see what happens after the persons who look like the justices entered the restaurant. Okay, so this is the inner part of the restaurant. Okay. So you see the first person that we describe as Justice Anthony Kofi. You see the next person we describe as Justice Seidu.
Let's pause it. Pause it there. Who are the two people?
So you come back a bit. Come back a bit. So those in red are the justices. Okay. So we already identified that the one
in the red circles.
Yes, in the red circle, the first one, Justice Anthony Kofi. He is not on the committee.
Okay.
In fact, in all of this, the only time he came on was 2 days ago when he was part of that panel.
Yes.
The next person we identified earlier as Justice Asiedu. He is on the committee.
The 5.
The last person, Justice Yoni Kolendi. So let them move and see what happens. Now you'd also see some yellow lines.
Yes, the yellow
arrows.
On 2 people.
On 2 people.
Okay.
The one who has his back facing the screen, that looks like the Leonard Tadesori. The other person, a friend supposedly. They were already seated there having a conversation.
Okay.
So let's see how the movement goes. So the first judge bypasses. The second one also bypasses, and they go to the back seats. The last one, who we say looks like Justice Yoni Kolendi, makes a stop by the seat where Tadesori and the friend were seated, and they exchanged pleasantries. Then pause it there. Bring it back a bit.
Okay.
So that you see, after exchanging pleasantries with Yoni Kolendi, Tadesori makes a move to the justices who move past him to assume their seats at the back.
Right.
So, okay, this is the point where they exchange pleasantries with Yoni Kolendi. Then after that, he also proceeds to join his colleagues at the back.
Okay.
Let it play.
And so the persons at the back you establish are also...
Yes. So those are the judges who came in and they walked to the back. So now you see Tadesori moving to exchange pleasantries with one of the judges there, who we describe to be someone who looked like Justice Anthony Kofi. And then from there, he proceeds to exchange pleasantries with the other one we said looks like Justice Asiedu.
And all of the while, you realize that the person that the Leonard Tadesori was seated, the person who looks like the Leonard Tadesori was seated with is still seated.
He's still seated.
And this person, understand, also looks like Kotejani. Yes.
But you see, because the Leonard Tadesori is a lawyer.
Indeed.
As lawyers, when you see judges, the level of courtesy you extend to them is different from regular people. Okay. They may not even know who they are.
Right.
So perhaps that explains how he has to leave his seat. Even at the point you see that he was bowing to them. The 2 judges at the back.
That's what you do.
That's what we do, basically.
Okay.
So, but this is just a minute or so video. But the petitioner talks about a time range between 7:30 and 8:30, which is a 1 hour. Span. And that takes us to a new development after this video was released. Now, Alfred Kumi posted on his X account that there's more to it than we have seen. And this is what he says. I said it that if I have to run for my life, someone will release the video. There are more videos. Please, any state agency that does not allow the President, John Dramani Mahama, to respond to the petition, but rather want to pick me up, will cause more harm to our states than picking me. I petition the President, not BNI, not national security. Leave me alone. Let's also put on record that we tried to reach out to him, but we have not got any favorable response, except to continue to create the impression that, yes, he is being pursued by some forces that want to pick him up. But what is important for this context is the fact that he says there are more videos. But in the absence of any other video, I mean, the one that we have here clearly shows that, yes, there was some judges who entered the restaurant. They met some people, one of whom looked like the Leonard Tadiosori. However, we are unable to find somebody in there who looks like the chairman of the committee. That's Justice Palmer.
Okay.
So that in itself...
But he mentions him in the petition.
Yes, he mentions him there, repeatedly. He does.
Okay.
So unless that part is contained in the rest of the videos where he says they exist, for which, I mean, he should kindly just step forward and let us all see the videos, because already some of the videos are out there in the public already. It will put all the matters into perspective.
Well, he's petitioned the president, and if he also wants this to be a trial in the court of public opinion, then maybe he would heed to that call that you're making. But I found out from Martin Pebu, private legal practitioner, whether this is a petition that should be given attention by the president based on what this less than 1 minute video that has gone viral so far. This is what he had to say. I spoke to him on 3FM 92.7 Hot Edition, which airs Monday to Friday, 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. And this is what he had to say earlier today. Take a look. Great. And Council, first of all, I want to establish, have you seen this video, this CCTV video footage of the restaurant and this alleged meeting among some members of the committee probing the Chief Justice's petition, and then also lawyer Tadiosori? Have you seen it?
Yes, I saw it about 5 minutes ago. Actually, I was in a meeting and then I had to come out to fetch some photocopies, and then the rest is history. But I just saw it about 5 minutes ago.
Perfect. What does that communicate to you? How does that strike you? Does it appear as though it was a meeting to, based on the petitioner's claim, plan the exit of the Chief Justice?
Not at all. Not at all. This is not a planned meeting. This is what Kisi Ejabin calls luckless coincidence. Kisi Ejabin's favorite phrase. It's a luckless coincidence. Thank God there is a CCTV, and it speaks for itself. And like you rightly analyzed, under a minute. So it's normal. When lawyers see the judges, they greet them. Judges see lawyers and also greet. So it's part of the bench-bar relationship. It would have been strange, right, for Sorry to see Justice Esiedu and not go to greet him. You see it. So the one I saw is Justice Esiedu there, and then Justice Kulendi, right? And Sorry and Justice Kulendi have a long relationship, right? So you can't say because Justice Kulendi is on the bench, when Sorry sees him, Sorry cannot greet him. Fortunately, Justice Kulendi is not even on the committee. When it comes to Justice Esiedu, you see, they just exchange pleasantries, right? Sorry just bowed to him, and that was it. Is that not it? They didn't even speak much, right? So yes. It's good. It's good that there's a CCTV to prove that this one is just, they just exchange pleasantries. That's it. I don't see so far anything in this video to warrant the dissolution of the committee.
Well,
yeah, it's just, I mean, what I see is that when citizens protest, it tells you that, yes, they want to see better laws. But this one, so far, I don't see how we can use this as grounds to dissolve the committee. Not yet. Maybe then, no, I don't see. You can never say that a lawyer should not treat a judge or a judge should not treat a lawyer when they meet. It's not possible. What kind of society are we then creating?
And in the mind of the petitioner, to the extent that, yes, you describe it as a luckless coincidence, but in the mind of the petitioner, it says to the extent that the pleasantries were exchanged, and however brief the conversation was, he is pointing at that as some sort of a meeting, planned meeting. Does that tick the box for you?
No, it doesn't at all. It's like the petitioner is clinging at straw. Yeah, petitioner is clinging at straw. This one, we will just move ahead and then, put this behind us.
You will not advise the president to pay attention to the petition at all?
At all. This doesn't merit that. This is clinging at straw. Yes. It's okay. It just shows that, yes, Ghanaians are vigilant, but this time, that's all that it is. So it will be a warning to everybody to always watch their back. Yes, so that's a lesson from it, but not one that should result in a dissolution of the committee.
I see, but that's Martin Kwebo is private legal practitioner, also sharing his thoughts on this earlier on 3FM 92.7 Hot Edition, Monday to Friday, 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. You can join me there as well as I engage a number of people on issues that are of concern to the Ghanaian people on a daily basis. So that's on 3FM 92.7. Make a date with me, Monday to Friday, 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. And coming up next here on Ghana Tonight, after this quick break, Harvard University will, beginning this academic year, not admit international students following the revocation of the Student and Exchange Visa Program certification by the Trump administration. We'll look into the matters and the possible implications, especially for people watching us right now who have that dream, or those who have even gotten admission to study at Harvard this year. And we'll tell you the Ghanaian student population in the United States as we speak. Stay with us. Well, welcome back. This is Ghana Tonight. If you've received admission to study at the prestigious Harvard University, or if you're dreaming of doing that this year at least, in the interim, this is the information from the Trump administration. Let's understand exactly what this statement says. This is a statement that came through earlier today. Put it on the screen. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security, Washington, this specific letter to the Harvard University on Student and Exchange Visa Program Certification, writing to inform them that effective immediately, Harvard University Student and Exchange Visitor Program Certification is revoked. As I explained to you in April letter, it is a privilege to enroll foreign students, and it is also a privilege to employ aliens on campus. And the alien, just to put it in context, these are foreigners who are not U.S. citizens. All universities must, in this particular context, must comply with Department of Homeland Security requirements, including reporting requirements. As a result of your refusal to comply with multiple requests to provide the Department of Homeland Security pertinent information while perpetuating an unsafe campus environment that is hostile to Jewish students, promotes pro-Hamas sympathies, and employs racist diversity, equity, and inclusion policies, you have lost this privilege. This is the Department of Homeland Security to Harvard. The revocation of a student and exchange visitor program certification means that Harvard is prohibited from having any aliens of F or J non-immigration or non-immigrant status for the 2025-2026 academic school year. So that is what the U.S. Homeland Security put out. Harvard, if you recall, earlier in the year, had written in response to that April letter that this one from the Homeland Security references. They said they are working quickly to provide guidance and support to members of their community, and this retaliatory action threatens serious harm to the Harvard community and our country and undermines Harvard's academic and research mission. Now, let's bring this home. Why is this, and should this be of concern to us here in Ghana? And I'm going to show you, based on data from the United States, that's the Education Sector Report. African students studying in the U.S., first, Nigeria has the highest with over 20,000 students. Next is Ghana, almost 10,000 students. And then you go to Kenya, Egypt, Ethiopia, South Africa, Zimbabwe follows in that order. But keep your eyes on Ghana, because that runs through a number of them. The citizens from 2015, we tracked this data. Between 2015 and 2016, Ghana was number 3 in terms of the number of students from this country studying in the United States in their rankings. Nigeria has always been first, Kenya, and then Ghana. Fast forward to 2020, Ghana then had more students than Kenya, so we came second to Nigeria. That statistic has been the same. In 2024, last year, Nigeria had over 20,000 students. Ghana had almost 10,000 students. And the man who understands what's going on, Professor Enoch Enchi, who was lectured in the United States, universities across multiple states for over 21 years. He's joining us on Zoom right now. Prof, appreciate you. This certainly must be concerning for you, is it not?
Yes, Alfred. Good evening to all your viewers everywhere in the world. It's of great concern. If you look at private universities in Ghana, they enroll about 70,000 students. And that means 1/7 of it, which is 10,000, are in American universities. And think about them coming home unskilled and uneducated. But the issue here is not about the students. The issue is a twofold. Immigration has become a very tough issue under Trump administration. Remember, one of the promises was that he tagged some immigrants as criminals and he will send them home. And that is exactly what he's doing. So Harvard failed to comply with simple reporting requirements. Remember, Ghana had MOUs and articulation agreements. That is why there are exchange visa programs. So you have the J and then the F immigration status to go learn and then come home. Remember, one of them, J, you can't work. You just have to go to school and come back home. The other, you can work with a limited time. And don't also forget that aliens, even those with green cards, are aliens. Because if you're not born in America, you are still an alien. So if you go to school there, besides the fact that Harvard failed to comply with some reporting requirements, and most universities in America, which is under Title IX director, talks about a lot of things that you have to do. They have to report on, violence issues, sexual harassment, disparate treatments, microaggression, because LGBT is also in there. So you have to report on microaggression. And if you go there and you are an extremist, that means you're not supposed to involve yourself into any racist, equity, and other issues if you have extreme issues, because those issues create what we call umbragiousness. People are easily offended when you talk about their race and other things. Now, the biggest issue here is that most students in America have been demonstrating against Hamas. They are pro-Hamas, and then it creates unsafe conditions at the universities. So the Homeland Security has been cracking on this, and Harvard has been pushing on the government. A month ago, Trump administration threatened the Harvard University that even grants, they will not give it to them if they don't comply with the Homeland Security requirements. And Harvard pushed back, telling Trump administration that that is a meddling on private universities, and they are not supposed to listen to what the president said, because universities in America are independent. So if you look at this type of war, and if you're a student and you get yourself involved into this, then you are in trouble. But this letter specifically says that Harvard failed to comply with simple reporting requirements about safety of their campuses, hostile environments, students who are anti-Jewish, and other crime issues that the university have not reported. And because of that, who are the easy targets? It's immigrants, aliens, and that is why our students cannot be enrolled at Harvard now.
And in a minute, what would probably should be the remedial, response or some sort of engagement? Because Ghana is an interested party in this, looking at the number of students as well who might even be wanting to get into Harvard or might have even gotten admission as we speak.
The good news is that this is for the 2025-26 academic year. An academic year is not a full year. It's from January to September. So we have the spring semester and the fall, and then summer is a different contract. And that means this year, the problem is that if Harvard is quick to report on some of these things, some of the students could come back. But the alternative is that the university will have to, students will have to transfer to other universities if the government still have the money. Because remember, most of these 10,000 students are being financed from Ghana's taxpayers' money.
Indeed. And that's a very important point there. Talk about the scholarship fund, which is now also being reviewed. But I appreciate your thoughts with the expertise that you bring to this. This is one that is still going to engage our attention in the coming days. Professor Enoch Opoku-Antwi is the former president of the Ghana Society or Community in Ohio, Cincinnati, and also lectured in multiple universities in multiple states over 21 years in the United States. Thank you so much for joining us here on Ghana Tonight. Appreciate you, as always. And join us same time tomorrow for another conversation. My name is Alfred Ocansey. Have a good night.
Ghana Tonight is brought to you by Flamingo Paint. Superior durability, superior hiding,